Listen up, y'all. There's a new waiver in town. Here's how to take advantage of the new PSLF changes if you have already been in loan repayment but not enrolled in PSLF. I'm going to give you an overview of how this process works, which will help everything make a lot more sense. Then I'll take you through the steps online, and at the end of the video, I'll show you some additional details as needed. By the end of this video, you will know what kind of loans you have and if your loans qualify for forgiveness, how much forgiveness you'll get, exactly how to sign up for forgiveness, including whether or not you need to consolidate your loans. If you do need to consolidate your loans, you'll learn how consolidation will affect your interest rate, your monthly payment, and your loan terms, which is the amount of time to pay back. And you'll have all the information you need in order to decide whether this is a good idea for you or not. There are 4 main groups of people that this video applies to. First off, you've made all of your loan payments while working for a qualified employer and you have federal loans. Of those loans, Group 1, you've made greater than or equal to 120 payments and your loans are direct loans. Group 2, you've made greater than or equal to 120 payments and your loans are not direct loans. Group 3, you've made less than 120 payments and your loans are direct loans. Group 4, you've made less than 120 payments and your loans are not direct loans. Sadly, there are a few folks who this new waiver can't help. Those of you who do not work for a qualified employer, or when you were making payments you didn't work for a qualified employer, your loans are not federal loans, or they used to be federal loans but they have been consolidated into private loans, and parent plus loans. And remember, if you choose to sign up for PSLF to take advantage of this new waiver, you must sign up by October 31st, 2022, because that's when the waiver expires. PSLF only applies to federal loans. Therefore, this whole process goes through the U.S. Department of Education Office of Federal Student Aid. Their website is studentaid.gov. This is the entity that manages all federal student loans and grants, i.e. student aid. They are the FAFSA people. Remember FAFSA? That thing you filled out to get the money when you're like 18? Yeah, me neither. The FAFSA was what determined if you were eligible for financial aid and how much federal financial aid you got. In other words, how much money could you borrow from the federal government? They also manage federal education grants. Regardless of which group you're in, you'll start your journey at studentaid.gov. Everyone must start by opening an account with studentaid.gov. Depending which group you're in, you'll either complete a 1-step process or a 2-step process to get enrolled in PSLF. And the PSLF helper tool is what you're going to use on studentaid.gov. It will walk you through the process. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. If you are in Group 1, you've made greater than or equal to 120 loan payments and your loans are direct loans. You'll complete a 1-step process, which is the PSLF application, and you can expect to receive total loan forgiveness and a full refund for payments made over 120 payments. If you're in Group 2, you've made greater than or equal to 120 payments and your loans are not direct loans. You'll complete 2 steps. First, you'll consolidate your loans and then apply for PSLF. You can expect to receive total loan forgiveness. If you're in Group 3, you've made less than 120 payments and your loans are direct loans. You'll do a 1-step process, apply for PSLF. You can expect that past ineligible payments will now be counted towards 120 payments in PSLF. For Group 4, you've made less than 120 payments and your loans are not direct loans. You'll do the 2-step process, consolidate your loans, and then apply for PSLF. As with Group 3, you can expect that past ineligible payments will now be counted towards 120 payments in PSLF. How do you know which group you're in? You'll need to know how long you've been in loan repayment and what kind of loans you have. You can find out the answers in your studentaid.gov account. Let's walk through the steps. So you'll sign up at studentaid.gov and you'll open your account. Once your account is set up, you can log in. Let me show you around. Upon login, the first thing you'll see is your dashboard. Here in the upper left corner is the My Aid section. Here you have your total federal loan amount still owed, which includes principal and interest. There are little question bubbles next to everything that are pretty helpful. They'll explain what each thing means. On the right column, there is the name of your current loan servicer. Under that is the Public Service Loan Forgiveness help tool. This is where we're going to do everything, but I'll come back to that in a moment. So going up back to the My Aid section, if you click on View Details, it takes you to a summary of all of your federal loans, and it tells you how many federal loans you ever took out, who serviced them, and how much you originally borrowed in total. It tells you what types of loans you've had, and it gives you a loan breakdown. So it tells you how many loans you've ever had, how many servicers you've ever had, the total amount you've ever borrowed, your current amount, your current balance, and the breakdown of principal and interest. If you've ever had grants, it'll tell you that as well. And then you scroll down, it tells you loan types, consolidations, Perkins, subsidized, unsubsidized, etc. If you click on these, it'll tell you which loans they are, loan type. Like for me, for example, this is an FFELP consolidation loan. Okay, and then if you scroll down, you'll see something called the loan breakdown. Now this is not, your emotional reaction to your loans that you have after seeing all that mess up top. No, this is the list of servicers that you have and the total balance on your loans. So if you look at these, if you click loans, it'll give you a little detail about your loan, like the date, the status, what kind of repayment plan you're on, if applicable, your current interest rate, and your total balance with here in the gigantic numbers. Then if you click View Loan Details, it will give you a nice summary of your whole loan. So it'll tell you what kind of loan you have, again, how much you owe on it, how much is principal, how much is interest, the status, whether it's in repayment, forbearance, etc., your interest rate, whether it's fixed or variable, repayment details, when you entered repayment. And here's a little fun thing to do. Down here under disbursements, it tells you how much you originally borrowed, like how much money did you get. And if you look there, and then you come back up here and you look at this, what's in this blue circle here, your total balance. Yeah, so it might be higher than what you originally even got. So personally, I've been in repayment for 5.5 years, and let's see, my amount in this blue circle is $10,000 more than the amount that I actually received originally. Yay! So that's a little fun activity that you can do in case you were, bored. In summary, to determine which group you are in, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you need to know your loan type and your repayment start dates in order to figure out how many payments you have made. There are 3 places that you can find your loan type. Number 1, you go to the dashboard under My Aid, View Details, and you scroll down to Loan Types. These are the types of loans you have, and if you click on the arrows to reveal the details, it will show you loan type right here. The second way to find your loan type is to go to Loan Breakdown. You can click on View Loans, and you will see your loan type here. The third way to find your loan type is to stay in here in Loan Breakdown under Loan Details, and then click on this Loan Details, and you will see your loan type up here. In order to find out how many payments you have already made, you're going to go here to Loan Status, where it says whatever it says, in repayment, default, forbearance, grace period, etc. You're going to click View Loan Status History, and this will give you a list of all of the dates that your loan was in whatever status it was. So you can just scroll down and see when it was in repayment, forbearance, etc. Okay? The only payments that will count are times that your loan was in repayment. When the loan status says in repayment, you look for the date that that became effective, and then you can count how many monthly payments you've made since then. The only time forbearance dates will count towards payment of PSLF is if you are serving in the military. In that case, deferment and forbearance for military purposes does count towards the PSLF. The PSLF rules state that only one kind of loan is eligible for PSLF, direct loans. So if you don't have direct loans already, you will need to consolidate them into a direct consolidated loan to get forgiveness, whether you've made 120 payments or not. What are direct loans? Direct loans are federal student loans that are lent to you directly by the United States government. There are 4 kinds: direct subsidized, direct unsubsidized, direct plus, and direct consolidation. You may be wondering, if it's a federal loan, isn't it directly lent to me by the United States federal government? Isn't that implied? Aren't all federal loans lent to me directly by the government? Nope. Most federal loans made before July 1st, 2010 were not actually lent directly to you by the U.S. government. They were lent to you by private lenders and backed by the federal government, which means that if you default, the government will repay the lender. But the government does not actually hold the loan. These privately held but federally backed loans were called FFELP loans, which stands for Federal Family Education Loan Program. These include Stafford loans, Graduate Plus loans, Parent Plus loans, and FFELP consolidation loans. What about Perkins loans? What are Perkins loans? These are loans that are held by your school and backed by the federal government. So just like FFELP loans, they are considered federal loans, but they are not directly lent to you by the federal government. They are lent to you by your school. Perkins loans ended on September 30th, 2017. Perkins loans are not FFELP loans, and they are not direct loans. Perkins loans are eligible to be consolidated into a direct consolidation loan if you already hold loans eligible for consolidation. But be careful. If you are already participating in a Perkins loan cancellation program, then if you consolidate the Perkins loan into a direct consolidation loan, you will lose that cancellation plan. In summary, there are 2 main categories of federal student loans: direct loans and non-direct loans. Direct loans are direct subsidized, direct unsubsidized, direct plus, and direct consolidation. Non-direct loans are FFELP, including Stafford, Grad Plus, Parent Plus, and FFELP consolidation, and Perkins loans. PSLF only allows direct loans. If you have non-direct loans and you want to participate in PSLF, you must consolidate these loans into a new direct consolidated loan. Even if you've already made all 120 payments and you're expecting total loan forgiveness and you won't be in repayment anymore, you still have to consolidate those loans. Except for Parent Plus loans, these loans are all eligible for consolidation into a direct consolidation loan. And they will have to be consolidated into a direct consolidation loan in order to be eligible for PSLF. One thing to clarify regarding consolidation loans: if you have FFELP loans and you consolidated them in the past, you now have a FFELP consolidation loan. This is not the same thing as a direct consolidation loan. This FFELP consolidation loan can be reconsolidated into a direct consolidation loan. It is still considered a federal loan. If you had federal loans that were consolidated into a private loan, well, these are no longer eligible for consolidation into a direct consolidation loan, and they are no longer considered federal loans. So you won't even see these on your loan dashboard since they are no longer federal. Another note about consolidation. In the past, if you consolidated your loans to a direct consolidated loan, it would reset the clock for PSLF. So that means any payments that you had made before the consolidation would not count towards PSLF. That is not the case for this PSLF waiver. It is safe to consolidate to a direct consolidated loan, and payments made previous to that will still count as long as they were made after October 1st, 2007. So now you know what kinds of loans you have and how long you've been in repayment, so you'll know what group you're in. Let's go back to the dashboard and on to the PSLF helper, which you'll find on the right-sided column as you scroll down. Scroll down to that PSLF helper and click Start. Let's start with the party people, Group 1. You've made 120 payments or more, and your loans are direct loans. Congratulations! You have hit the jackpot. Your loans are done. And if you paid more than 120 payments, you're getting a refund. All you need to do is complete the PSLF application in the PSLF Help tool. You'll complete your part. Then you give this form to your employer to fill out the rest. They'll then give it back to you, and then you fax it or email it or send it electronically some other way to the Department of Education peeps. Fed Loan Servicing, which is the loan servicer that manages all of these requests, will confirm with your employer and count how many payments you made, and then they'll process the forgiveness and refund if applicable. Okay, let's go on to the second group. Group 2, you have made greater than or equal to 120 payments and you do not have direct loans. You are still party people. You're getting forgiveness. Your loans are done, but you won't get a refund for payments made over 120. You have to do the two-step process. Go into PSLF Help Tool and Step 1, consolidate your loans to a direct consolidated loan. Step 2, apply for PSLF. I know it seems weird to consolidate your loans if they're done being paid off, but that's what the government says you have to do. Group 3. If you have made under 120 payments and your loans are already direct loans, but you never signed up for PSLF, all you need to do is fill out the application form for PSLF. Just like the party people in Group 1, except not because you're still in repayment. No confetti on your slide. Yet. When you submit this form, Fed Loan Servicing will confirm your payments were made while you worked for a qualified employer, and they'll count how many past payments now count towards PSLF. Okay, on to the rest of us elderly who borrowed before direct loans existed and were never eligible for PSLF, also known as Group 4. Here are the steps for Group 4. 2 steps: consolidate your loans and then apply for PSLF. Let's walk through it. Here's what you're going to do. First, you're going to go to Start. It brings you to the PSLF Help Tool Overview, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Hit Continue. And you see this nice little step-by-step guide up here. So the first step is going to be you enter your employment history because they want to make sure that you have that you've made your payments while working at a qualified employer. Then it's going to talk to you about your loans, give you info about your loans. Then if you need to consolidate, which you will if you're going down this route, it gives you the consolidation loan application. You're going to fill out a little more personal information, and then you're going to hit Review and Save. So first of all, you need to add your employer. So just click on Add Employer. You'll need your employer identification number, and you can find this information on your W-2 form, or you can find it by just calling HR. Then you'll enter your employment start date and your end date, if applicable. Search, and your employer should show up down here. You'll see this green oblong shape with a checkbox that says eligible. Okay, you just click the radio button and then hit Continue. If your employer did not put their address in, then you will have to do it for them. Enter your employment details. Full-time, it should be full-time, otherwise it's not going to count towards PSLF. Whatever your hours were per week, and then, you know, like 120. Just kidding. And hit No and save employer. Okay. Then we're going to continue on to the next section. If you have more than one employer, you can add another employer down here. Okay, in step 2, under loan tips, you'll be brought to this screen. So first of all, you'll see this big giant red box with a big hand that says, no, you cannot submit a PSLF application at this time. Don't freak out. The reason is because you don't have direct loans, okay? That just means we need to consolidate them into direct loans. Scroll down. They love these breakdowns, right? Loan breakdown. Okay, loans not on track for PSLF or TE-PSLF, which I'll talk about later. These loans can be on track for PSLF once they are consolidated. So it tells you down here you can consolidate them. You click on that, it says consolidate your loans, and it gives you which loans to consolidate. All right. So now we're going to enter the loan consolidation application. So you hit apply to consolidate, and this will bring you to the Direct Consolidation Loan application. Hit start, and the first thing you see is step 1. So we have another little menu going across the top here. The first thing you're going to do, I'll give you a little overview here. In step 1, on this screen, you'll choose the loans that you want to consolidate, the servicer, which is going to be Fed Loan Servicing. In step 2, you'll choose a repayment plan. In step 3, you'll review the 22 pages of terms and conditions of your loan, which is essentially your borrower's agreement, the thing that none of us ever read the first time around. In step 4, you'll enter some more personal information, and step 5, you'll review and sign your loan contract. And then that's about it. The only thing you need to do after that is to fill out your PSLF application. Okay? So let's dive in, shall we? We also have this other nice little menu here on the left that walks you through each individual page. First, we're going to select the loans to consolidate, and my loan is listed here. If it wasn't already checked, you would check this box, and that tells you this is the loan or loans that you want to include in your new consolidation loan. If you need to add more for some reason they're not showing up, you can do that here. Now, once you check this little box, come down here, and you see this black box here. And what this is saying is it's taken into account all the loans that you checked off you want to include in your new direct consolidation loan, and it's giving you your new loan amount and your new interest rate. So one of the questions we all have is, how is consolidation going to affect my interest rate? The way that they calculate the interest rate on your new loan is that it's a weighted average of all of the interest rates that you have on the loans that you're including, and then that's rounded up to the nearest 1/8%. So yes, your interest rate may go up a little bit by that 1/8%, and depending on how your loans are weighted, in theory it could also go down, but that's less likely. If you'd like to see how your interest is calculated, I'll go over it at the end of the video. You can also click here for more information, and it takes you through the 5 steps to calculate your new interest rate and an example. And I'm going to go over this at the end of the video in case you would like to see that. Okay, grace period. This does not apply to us because none of us have a grace period at this point. This is for folks who are just going into repayment. So you're going to select Do Not Delay Processing. Then servicer selection. So first you're going to hit yes because we are employed full-time by a public service organization, so a qualified employer. And when it comes to federal loan servicers, for this particular situation, PSLF, Fed Loan Servicing is the one you're going to choose. Now, Fed Loan Servicing, you may see an announcement that they are no longer servicing these loans and that they're going to stop when their contract expires. However, they have also then announced that they're going to continue that for another year at minimum. So you're good to go. Fed Loan Servicing is the only option here. Hit continue, and you'll be brought to the repayment plan request. So this is an important page because it's going to help you make a lot of decisions as to whether PSLF is right for you. So we're going to scroll down. The first thing that you do is you enter your financial information. So you're going to enter your tax filing status. You select which one you want, and if you are married, you're also going to have to enter your spouse's student loan balance. Okay, so you would put that in there. You're going to enter your adjusted gross income from your tax return. And then you're going to enter your family size, like literally how many people live in your house that you're responsible for. For some reason, I always think that's like a trick question, but it's not. Family size includes you and your children, etc., 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 and where you live. What state do you live in? All right, you enter that, and then it's going to use that information to calculate estimated monthly payments for you based on which repayment plan you choose. Repayment plan information. You'll see 8 repayment plans here. However, only 5 of them can be used with the PSLF. And these 5 are the 10-year standard repayment plan and the 4 income-derived repayment or IDR plans, which include repay, pay, IBR, and ICR. These 4 are the IDRs, the income-derived repayment plans. And then these 4 are not. The standard, graduated, extended fixed, and extended graduated plans are not IDR plans. Going forward, if you want to participate in PSLF and have your payments be eligible, they must be paid under one of these 4 IDR plans. Okay? None of these apply. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, a little confusing, and it's very important. You got to be careful here because, first of all, you would think that they would only show you repayment plan options that are going to work with the PSLF, right? Because you're applying for the PSLF. That's why you're doing this direct loan consolidation. That's why you're doing all of this, right? However, that's not the case. They show you all of the repayment plans you're eligible for, just in general. Now, see this little public service loan forgiveness button? We're going to click it, but I want to just point out something. It says here, PSLF program forgives the remaining balance on your direct loans after you have made 120 qualifying monthly payments under a qualifying repayment plan, i.e., income-driven repayment or standard repayment plan, while working full-time for certain public service employers, i.e., qualified employers. Okay? See how it says standard repayment plan right there? And this is the standard repayment plan. Well, this is actually not one that you can use for PSLF. This standard repayment plan here is not a 10-year standard repayment plan. It's a 30-year standard repayment plan. Okay? Since we're doing this for PSLF, go ahead and click this. And let me explain a little bit more about this standard repayment plan issue. So you're going to be very careful here because the standard repayment plan is just a repayment plan that involves taking the total amount you owe and dividing it by the number of months that you will repay it. It's usually super pricey, which is why there are income-driven repayment plans, IDRs. So here's where it's tricky. The SRP only applies to PSLF payments if it's a 10-year SRP, meaning your total loan amount is divided over 120 months, or 10 years. So when you see the SRP for the new direct consolidated loan that you're applying for, you see this monthly payment, you're like, woohoo, that looks fantastic, looks great, right? It's thousands less than the income-derived payment options below. Which, that right there should make you wonder something is not right here. IDRs were invented because the SRP was too high. So if the IDR option is more than the SRP option, WTF, right? Well, here's what's up. Because this is a consolidated loan, the term of repayment has been extended to 30 years. So your monthly payment is lower, probably lower than what you're paying now, simply because your loan amount has just been spread out over 30 years. Unless you pay the equivalent of the 10-year SRP for monthly payments, not this new 30-year monthly payment, then your monthly payments will not count towards PSLF on this repayment plan. Plus, they likely won't count at all because your debt is likely more than $7,500. if you scroll down here and read the fine print, it says here, PSLF qualifying payments can also be made on a 10-year standard repayment plan or any other direct loan program repayment plan where the monthly payment is at least equal to the monthly payment amount that would have been under the 10-year standard repayment plan. However, there's another caveat that if you owe more than $7,500, this is not going to apply to you. So even if you paid the 10-year amount, but you were under the standard repayment plan, those payments would not count. So this is a very long way of saying, going forward, if you're going to be participating in the PSLF, your repayment plan options are limited to these 4 down here, these IDRs. Okay, so it's a lot. This repay is a lot more than this standard payment here. In regards to these graduated payment and extended graduated payment options, oh, how I wish we could choose graduated repayments, but no, that's not an option for PSLF. That's because you start out with a low monthly payment and it only balloons after many years, so you would get the benefit of a really low monthly payment now and never have to face the music later. Sadly, the government is already one step ahead of us on this, and so graduated payments are a no. Graduated payments only apply to PSLF for a very specific group of people, and those are people who have made all 120 payments in the past under these graduated repayment plans, and who then apply for the TE PSLF at the end of their 120 payments. And that's something that was introduced in 2018. It's not what we're talking about here. It was a way of helping people who had been repaying, but they had been on the wrong repayment plan for PSLF, so they didn't qualify. So it was a way of helping them retrospectively. But that's not what we're talking about here. All right. So when it comes to these IDRs, depending on your income, you may be eligible for more than one of them, or you might not. So it just depends. Now here's where you're going to start thinking about whether or not this PSLF option is a good fit for you. If you're in Group 1 and Group 2, it's a no-brainer. For Group 3 and 4, there are a few things to consider. First off, will consolidating your loans increase your interest rate? If you're in Group 3, there won't be any changes to your interest rates because you don't have to consolidate your loans. They're already direct loans. For Group 4, the new interest rate is a weighted average. So in theory, if you had a big loan at a low rate merged with a small loan at a high rate, your overall interest rate could theoretically go down, but that's likely not the case. The most likely scenario is that your interest rate will go up because of there is a rounding up to the nearest 1/8%. And again, at the end of this video, I go over how the new interest rate is calculated if you want to see the details. Regarding your repayment plan and how it affects your monthly payment, although the PSLF waiver makes payments on any repayment plan count retrospectively, going forward you'll have to follow the PSLF rules, which mandate that you've got to be on an IDR, income-derived repayment plan. This could increase your monthly payments. Another thing to consider is how much debt do you have left? How many payments do you have to make? And sometimes if your debt load is small, like 10K or less, or if you don't have much longer to go, enrolling in PSLF may not be worth it. At the end of the day, you may find that your interest rate increases and your monthly payment does too, and it's not worth it. That's what happened to me. That's because my interest rate would go up and my monthly payment would more than double, and the total amount of loan forgiveness I'd end up with is piddly. So at the end of the day, applying for PSLF wasn't worth it to me. Now there's one other thing to consider if you're in Group 4. Would consolidating your loan into a direct consolidation loan make it more eligible for any future loan forgiveness legislation? I don't know. This is very speculative and I'm not sure it's worth doing. Just something to consider. Okay, so if you're in Group 4 and you've decided that pursuing PSLF will work for you, then you'll go ahead and continue with your direct consolidation loan application, agree to the terms and conditions, and then submit the application. The next thing you have to do is submit the PSLF application. You'll fill out your part, You'll give it to your employer to fill out their part, and then you'll get it back from them and submit it to the feds. Next steps. You'll get a summary sheet from Fed Loan Servicing in about 2 to 3 weeks, which gives you a summary of information on your new consolidation loan. You have 10 days to cancel the application at that point. If you don't cancel, then your new consolidation loan will be done in about 30 to 60 days. Fed Loans will send a payoff notice to your current loan servicer, and you'll receive a paid in full letter from your current servicer. And that's it. Going forward, you'll have to actually stick to the PSLF rules from now on, meaning you've got to be in the right repayment plan and working full-time at a qualified employer. You'll also need to resubmit the PSLF application once a year. You can find your IDR anniversary on the loan details page from your dashboard. And you need to take action on all of this before the waiver expires on October 31st, 2022. Good luck, whippersnappers! Let's take a closer look at the way that the interest rate will be calculated for your new direct consolidation loan. I know a lot of us are wondering, hey, if I consolidate my loan, is my interest rate going to go up? And they give you this nice example of how your new interest rate will be calculated and what it will be. So essentially what this is a weighted average of your loan balances and interest rates, and then that is rounded up to the nearest 1/8%. So here's how you calculate it. So they give this example. Let's just go through this example step by step. I find that it's easier to kind of take all this math in when you just take it step by step. So let's do this together. So they give an example of 2 loans. Loan number 1, the value is $1,000 and the interest rate is 6%. Loan number 2 is also $1,000 and the interest rate is 6.4%. So to calculate our new interest rate on these 2 loans, we're going to do step 1. We're going to multiply each loan balance by its current interest rate, and that number is called a per loan weight factor. Don't worry about that. So loan 1 is $1,000 times 0.06, which is its interest rate, equals 60. Loan number 2, $1,000 times 0.64 equals 64. Step 2, we're going to add these 2 numbers together. We're adding these 2 per loan weight factors together. So 60 plus 64 equals 124. In step 3, we're going to divide this weight factor, this number 124 is called the weight factor. We're going to divide that by the direct consolidation loan balance, by the total balance of all our loans. So 124 divided by the sum of loan 1 and loan 2 equals 124 divided by 2,000, and that equals 0.062. That's really our new interest rate that we're going to then round up to the nearest 1/8%. Step 4, we multiply 0.062 by 100, and that gives us a percentage. We're going to convert to a percentage, so 6.2%. And then in step 5, we need to round up to the nearest 1/8%, which is a little cucamonga, but here's how you do it. I like to go to calculator.net and they have a nice rounding calculator here. You just type in your value. So in this case, it's 6.2, and you select here, what do you want to round it up to? Well, we want to round it up to 1/8. We're going to select that. You hit calculate, and your result is 6/2/8. 2 divided by 8 is 0.25. Therefore, 6 2/8 is 6.25. So that's how you get that number. So your new interest rate on your direct consolidated loan would be 6.25%.